The Browns didn't announce anything today, no press conference, no statement from ownership, and yet, one of the most successful defensive coordinators in football is suddenly gone, not fired, not promoted, just gone, and the timing of it is the part that doesn't sit right, because this didn't happen after a bad season, it happened right after a decision end. That's where the story actually.
Browns defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz was told the news that he will not be getting a head coaching job, walks into the office, tells Jimmy Haslam, D. Haslam, to go screw themselves allegedly, and put up the you-know-what, and told them people to go screw themselves. I quit. That is the word that is coming out of Cleveland right now. Multiple people were saying that he started addressing members of the staff and letting them know he will no longer be the defensive coordinator moving forward. Bruh, in all my years of covering sports, I ain't never seen no shit like this.
Starts asterisk, what makes this moment matter isn't just that Jim Schwartz resigned. It's when he resigned. By the time this news broke, Cleveland had already made its choice at head coach. Todd Moken was hired. The decision was final, and according to multiple reports cited in the transcript, Schwartz was informed that morning he would not be getting the job. That's the pivot point. Up until then, much of the local coverage suggested the Browns hoped cooler heads would prevail, that Schwartz might stay. That continuity, especially on a defense that ranked first in yards, allowed 1 year and second the next, still mattered. But within hours of that decision, Schwartz was saying goodbye inside the building. That speed matters in most NFL transitions. Even disappointed coordinators don't leave immediately. They reassess, they wait, they negotiate roles. They let the organization manage optics. That didn't happen here. Instead, the Browns are immediately preparing to interview replacements, while Schwartz remains under contract, an unusual standoff that raises quiet questions about how firm this separation really is. And there's another detail that complicates the timing. Just days earlier, Myles Garrett publicly praised the coaching staff during his Defensive Player of the Year speech. High praise, no tension, no visible fracture, which makes this exit feel less like a slow breakdown and more like something that snapped. But snapped where and why is still unanswered. Asterisk. When NFL coaching exits get messy, it's usually because expectations weren't aligned, and that pattern shows up all over this situation. According to the reporting referenced here, Schwartz was widely believed to be a serious head coaching candidate, not just externally, but internally, especially after other candidates exited the process. That doesn't mean he was promised the job, but in this league, perception carries weight. Veteran coaches understand shortlists, they understand leverage, they understand when they're being positioned and when they're being bypassed. And when the final decision went to Moken, the reaction wasn't quiet disappointment, it was finality. Goodbyes, clear signals he wasn't returning, in language reported by multiple insiders that suggests the relationship didn't just cool, it hardened. This is where organizational dynamics matter. The Browns weren't choosing between competence and failure, they were choosing direction, offense over defense, reset over continuity. That choice doesn't automatically create conflict, unless one side believed the outcome would be different. And when a coach who just produced elite results feels misread, misled, or simply misaligned, the league tends to respond in one of two ways: silent exits or very loud ones. This one wasn't loud publicly, but internally it appears anything but quiet, and the people watching most closely aren't fans, that are players. The real pressure point here isn't Jim Schwartz, it's what his departure does to the structure around him. Multiple reports referenced in the transcript note strong player affinity toward Schwartz, including cornerstone defenders. That doesn't mean rebellion, it doesn't mean chaos, but it does introduce friction anytime a head coach is hired over a respected coordinator. Locker rooms recalibrate, loyalties don't split cleanly, they soften. Communication paths change, trust becomes conditional from the organization's perspective. That may be exactly why allowing Schwartz to leave made sense. Divided authority is harder to manage than transition. Still, the cost isn't theoretical. Schwartz wasn't running an average unit, he was running one of the league's most consistent defenses, and had done so without public drama, which makes this moment less about performance and more about alignment. The Browns now have to replace a coordinator, manage player response, and move forward without explaining much of anything publicly. That silence may be strategic or it may be temporary, because situations where coaches leave under contract rarely disappear cleanly. They linger on how or if this gets resolved could quietly shape Cleveland's offseason more than any higher announcement.